Hubert, you've talked a lot about the importance of getting multiple stops down stretches to close games out. How satisfied were you overall with the second half, especially getting defensive stops to close this one out for you?
Very satisfied. At halftime, I told them, and throughout the first half, that we got an 8 or 9 point lead. Let's extend it. Let's put consecutive good possessions together. I was encouraged at halftime. We didn't extend it, but we didn't blow it. And I said, okay, let's take another step. Let's get off to a good start. First 4 minutes of the game, let's raise our level even more. We're just getting started, and we started off on an 8-0 run, and we just continued it throughout the second half. And so that's something that we hadn't done in a while, and I was very proud and very happy for him.
Andrew? Some of the guys said that a sense of urgency was born in the second half in Berkeley, and they carried that this week coming into this game. How much did you have to talk to them about having the right sense of urgency, and how much did you maybe see in them that they kind of recognized what Henry called a little bit of a wake-up call?
Well, I mean, I don't, the way that I communicate with them since the first time they came together in June, I've always talked about sense of urgency. I'm somebody that any practice, any shoot around, any game, it's an opportunity to get better, and it's live. And so, but I was really proud of them tonight. We had 2 really good practices. Another thing that I was happy with was just the chatter in the huddles during timeouts. Multiple people talking. I love that. I encourage that. I love conversations. I love having those conversations throughout a game, and I encourage those guys to speak up. And a number of people were speaking up and saying good things about let's get stops. Let's continue to box out. We've got to talk on defense. That wasn't a good shot. We got to get back to getting the ball inside, share the ball. That's one of the things that I was really happy about.
Ryan and Rod?
Hubert, I know a lot of the talk about, over the last couple of games have been defending the 3-ball. Notre Dame came out and shot 6 for 12 in the first half, but then 2 for 13 in the second half. Derek and Caleb both said the communication was kind of better in that second half. Did you tell them anything in the second half, or were the adjustments maybe made, and what did you see in improvements defending the 3-ball tonight?
No, we talk about communication all the time, and the communication at times wasn't there in the first half. There are times where we'll switch on the ball, and Notre Dame does a good job of setting ghost screens from behind, very tricky, but the communication didn't match up in transition. And we talked about that during the game in the first half and also the second half, and I thought they did a much better job, especially when we went to our quote-unquote small lineup where Caleb is at the 5. We did a much better job of communicating the second half.
Rod and Spencer?
Hubert, it's a long flight back from California. What did you kind of reflect on and think on in trying to get these guys back on track this week?
Yeah, I mean, there was a number of things, just looking at the number one thing from last week for us was there were multiple possessions where we were making mistakes, like in back-to-back possessions. So, we would turn the ball over, not get back on defense, give up a 3. We would get to the free throw line, miss 2 free throws, come back down, give an and 1. And I felt like last week we were letting one play affect us on the other end to the next play. And I talked to them about that. And I said, basketball is a game of mistakes. Next play, next possession. And I felt like we didn't do that last week. And so I talked to them and thought about that. But I also thought about let's moving forward and not, okay, we didn't play well in California. Let's not dwell on that and talk about it and think about it the rest of the year. I didn't want to do what I felt like we did, lead it to the next possession, lead that to the next game against Notre Dame. I wanted to be positive with these guys, give them confidence to go out there and play, and they were able to do that tonight.
Spencer, then Murph.
Coach, Henry and Derek just said that. I know you said you had 2 good practices this week. They said that there was definitely an increased level of both focus and intensity in practice. Would you agree with that assessment going into tonight?
I would. And somebody that stepped up dramatically in that in that space in leadership was Caleb. I mean, last couple days, and including tonight, he's one of the guys that was more vocal in practice, more vocal. Right before we went out for warm-ups for the game, I said my last words before we went out to the floor. He said, "Coach, can I say something?" And he went after the team. He said, let's go out there and compete. He's never done that before. And so I really like that from him.
Murph, then RL.
Coach, an off-the-court question. I know that Coach Williams and Tyler have come out very publicly about keeping the Smith Center on campus, not taking it to Carolina North. I wonder if you've been asked to give your opinion or if the administration's talked to you at all and what your thoughts are about the future of this place and where you guys should play basketball.
Well, I mean, obviously I love this place. This is home to me. I've said this before. This is where I went to school, and this is where I played. But it's much more than just basketball for me. Smith Center is home for all the relationships and the conversations that I've had here. Every time that I come into work, I can remember every conversation, interaction that I had with Coach Smith and Coach Guthridge, Coach Williams, with all my roommates, my teammates, my friends. Chapel Hill is where I fell in love with my wife, where we got married, where I became a Christian, and Smith Center is basically home plate for that. And so, but I love the leadership of Chancellor Roberts, and I love what him being chancellor of this school, and I just love working for him.
RL, then Pat.
What have you seen from Jaden recently to earn him that start, and how did you like the combination of Derek and Jaden in the backcourt?
Well, the only reason that I went that way to start the game is I felt like that group played the best against Cal. I felt like that group played the closest to not where I wanted us to be, but the closest in terms of the effort and the energy and enthusiasm, the will and the want to that I require every time you get out on the floor. And so I wanted that group to start the game because I thought it was the group that really led us to come back against Cal.
Last two, Pat, then Shelby.
Hubert here in the back. Great bounce back performance for you guys tonight, but how do you make sure that carries over? You know, it's one thing to do it when your backs are against the wall, but to repeatedly bring this level is another kind of challenge.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I encourage the team every time that we win is to enjoy winning. It's very difficult to win. It's very difficult to win in conference in the ACC, and so that should be celebrated. And then tomorrow we'll start our preparation and practice for Virginia. And, you know, this is I think sometimes lose sight. This is the first ride with this group. And we have 11 new players. And so we're going through this for the first time. And we're learning, we're growing, we're getting better, and looking forward to practice and preparation to play a really good Virginia team.
Last one, Shelby.
Just going back to what you said about Caleb and him maybe finding more of his voice with this group and being a leader. I mean, he's obviously a very vocal guy, very confident guy. That's been obvious since coming here. So just maybe what, from your perspective, has been the switch recently where you've seen him speaking up more in the huddle at practices?
No, I mean, we spent some time together last couple of days in my office, and it's different now. When I was in school, I think maybe I said one word my freshman year. I think. My second year, I maybe said 5. My sophomore year, but everything was built on seniority. And then, you know, when you became a senior, you're almost automatically gifted that leadership position, whether that was something that was in your personality or not. You know, everything's different now. You know, when I was in school, it didn't matter how good you were. I wasn't good enough to do this, but everybody stayed 4 years. It's not this way anymore. You know, people go to the NBA after 1 year, the transfer portal. So one of the things that I encourage everyone is to be a leader within their own personality. It doesn't matter what classification you are. I don't care if you're a freshman, walk-on, senior, you're a starter, you don't get any minutes. I want guys to speak up. I want guys to be leaders. And I've enjoyed the Caleb being more vocal the last 3 days. I think it's really ignited our team. He has a personality that just encourages guys. He's a great teammate. He lights up the room every time he steps in it. And so now that he's using his voice, it's really motivating guys in a good way.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Friday, 1:30.